Good morning, everyone. This is John with Gun.Deals. Today, we are going to be talking about the collaborative effort between Rosco and Sage Dynamics, this being their K9 12 series barrel. But before we get into that, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, as that is all free and does help us out quite a bit. And go ahead and comment your favorite wacky barrel length and gas system length combo in the comments down below. Now, full disclosure on this is that I am a dealer for Rosco barrel, so I did not pay full retail price, which happens to be between $150 and $200. And I don't have any affiliation with Sage Dynamics. Getting into some of the basics about this barrel, this is of course 12.5 inches long, patrol length gas system, which we will talk about. The chamber is 5.56, it is a 1 in 7 twist, and very interesting, this is a black nitride 416R stainless steel barrel. Now it's kind of designed for hard use. A word on that, usually most people will agree that 416R stainless steel is not as durable in general as 4150. However, manufacturers of 416R stainless steel barrels will say that you can achieve near parity, if not better in some cases, by using black nitriding on your 416R stainless steel to kind of make them on par with 4150 chrome lined barrels. Now, I am personally somewhat skeptical of that claim, and usually it's the manufacturers themselves making those claims, and I am of course skeptical of them because they are of course biased. However, for the point of this video, let's just grant them their argument that 416R stainless steel black nitride is as durable as other barrel steels on the market in a hard use environment. Now, getting into their own website and some of the claims that they make about it, I am going to read a quote that they themselves say about their barrel so you can kind of understand some of my critiques. K9 12.5 offers a proprietary patrol length gas system that is smoother than carbine length, more reliable than mid-length, features an optimized gas port to run reliably suppressed and or unsuppressed. The K9 continuous taper is the most effective profile to dissipate heat from hard use. With weight shifted to the back of the barrel, modern attachments on the front of the rifle create a perfectly balanced and better handling rifle. Updated target crown carried over from the purebred series with improved harmonics, fit, and finish. Now, addressing that first claim that the patrol length gas system on a 12.5 is both more reliable than mid and softer shooting than a carbine length system. If you're not familiar, patrol length is sitting in between. It is a proprietary system by Rosco that they came up with to kind of get the best of both worlds. Now, in my personal opinion, when it comes to reliability and shootability, which are not always the same thing, a 12.5 mid, like let's say a CAC 12.5 mid, can be made absolutely horrific to shoot if you just make the gas port huge, like a 125 or something like that. On the flip side of that, a Criterion core that has a 12.5 carbine length gas system, that one there with a 62 thou gas port is probably the best shooting 12.5 on the planet. So whatever gas system length you use, within reason of course, that gas port itself is going to be very, very important to how the gun actually runs. You can make a 16-inch rifle gun shoot like crap, you can make a 11.5 or a 10.5 carbine shoot very, very nice. Now on their website they claim that it is optimized for suppressed and unsuppressed shooting, which is not really the case with any gas system barrel length combo. And I have to disagree with them. The Rosco 12.5 K9 is unimpressive in terms of its gassing. It's more overgassed than a lot of cheaper Ballistic Advantage and Faxon barrels, so while yes, you do get an extra inch of gas system length over a carbine, it's all moot because of the gas port just simply being too large. You have extra gas system length, but to really get all the benefit out of it, to actually notice a real difference, you're going to have to throw in something like an adjustable gas block, an adjustable BCG, which I've done in this specific system, because unsuppressed with the carbine springs and buffers, it'll eject brass at about 2 to 230, and then if you throw a suppressor in the mix, it's throwing them basically straight forward. A lot of the time, as you see it here, I would be running a Geisley H3 Super 42 spring combo in the back, and it was very mediocre to shoot. So while they claim optimized for suppressed and unsuppressed shooting, I'm just going to call it overgassed. Now, to go back to my previous example, the Criterion Core 12.5 barrel, which has a carbine length gas system, which is, oh, that's too short for a 12.5, but because it's properly gassed, again, it's probably the best shooting 12.5 on the market, save for a few very, very special exceptions. On paper, having that extra gas system length is nice. It reduces pressure at the port. It utilizes the dwell time on a 12.5 a little bit better. However, if you just overgas the system by making the hole too big, well, it's basically all moot at that point. Now, to be clear, it is fine. It is fixable with heavy springs and buffers. You can use adjustable gas blocks, adjustable BCGs, flow through cans, weak ammo, whatever it might be, but I would in no way, shape, or form consider it optimized for suppressed shooting. You have to do other things to the system to actually optimize it for suppressed shooting, and I wish companies would just stop saying that. Now, to its next point about being the most heat-efficient profile on the planet, I don't really know if that's true. I don't really know if that's particularly important. If it's 5% more efficient at cooling than another profile, doesn't really matter. guns get hot. If you shoot them a lot, you're going to be wearing gloves. Guns get hot. Are you going to notice a couple percentage points one way or the other? Probably not. Now let's talk about that third argument, the weight balance argument, because this is a very heavy profile barrel. It's basically one step below a SOCOM. They rate the weight at 27 ounces for a 12.5 patrol length barrel. 27 ounces is heavier than most 16-inch mid-length guns. So for a 3.5-inch shorter barrel, you're not saving anything in terms of weight. They might tell you that it's quote unquote better balanced because that center of weight is pulled back a little bit, but it's still just very, very heavy. Now, again, I'm going to compare it to a Criterion core, which is 4 ounces lighter, also has a thick profile in the back, and then tapers down to, instead of a 725 or a 750, gas block, tapers down to a 625 gas block, which actually makes the end of the gun very light, whereas on the Rosco K9, the thinnest part of the barrel is a 750. There is no part of the barrel in any way, shape, or form that is light by any sense of the word. It's just a heavy barrel. And you can say, well, it's heavy, but a lot of that weight is a little bit further back, like a couple inches further back in terms of the center of gravity. However, it's still just heavier than basically every other 12.5 on the market. Now, on top of that, you throw on a lot of very heavy attachments like this. You have a half pound of a light, 3/4 of a pound of a $4,000 laser unit. You throw on nearly a pound of suppressor, and yeah, you might as well be carrying a 20-inch AR at that point. So you can get away with having a lot more attachments if you actually have a more weight-efficient barrel, again, like the Criterion 12.5, like a Ballistic Advantage Hansen 625, or a Geisley taper will also be about 2 or 3 ounces lighter. So is it smoother shooting than a carbine-length gas system? No, not particularly. Is it more reliable than a mid-length gun? Well, it might be in this case. Is it more balanced? I would argue simply no, it's just heavier. But what about accuracy? Because that's kind of one of the trade-offs that you're going to get with something like this. If we grant them the reliability argument, what about accuracy? Is it at least very accurate? Fortunately, one thing that it definitely has is that it's a very, very accurate barrel. Surprisingly accurate for a gas gun, certainly a MOA or better gun with the right ammo shooter combo. And in terms of accuracy, I have absolutely nothing to complain about. So if that's your main focus, if that's what you're looking for out of a 12.5 barrel, well, the Rosco K9 12.5 is certainly accurate. I would market it as a accurate tax driver barrel rather than a lightweight performance good shooting barrel, because they could have made it really soft shooting. They chose not to, and the profile is far too heavy for the balance argument to come into play. Again, it's just heavy, but it's very accurate. It's very well put together. The finish is nice. I don't have really any issues with that. I think their marketing is just wrong. Now, from the factory, if they cut the gas port down by a couple thousandths, I think that would probably make it a very, very fantastic shooter and make their claims about that true. As far as it being a weight balance profile, that's basically just a straight up lie. I would just say that it's a very accurate profile while reducing as much weight as possible. Like, there's ways you can use your marketing speak to make that a little bit more true. And again, if you are actually going to be adding lights, lasers, and suppressors, this is not a barrel that I would go with. It's just a really heavy starting point for what should be a light, handy system. Now, again, the Maul is a pig, the HRT ALS is a pig, it's a K-can, but you can definitely shave a lot of weight with just lighter lights and lasers, of course. But point being is that this is like 11 pounds right now with maximum capability, if you will. But if you don't need all those gizbang whizbos or whatever, you can definitely shave a lot of weight. But as the platform itself, as the starting point, I would not select a 12.5 this heavy. I don't think that that makes sense. I think at 12.5, 11.5, you're really looking for a good GPR, if you will. So having a heavy barrel doesn't make a lot of sense to me personally, as you know, you're probably not shooting 1 MOA targets at 600 yards all that often with the 12.5, and if you are, there are better systems that do that thing. And you guys that are curious out there, I have a Foxtrot mic adjustable BCG, which only has 2 settings, unsuppressed and suppressed, and on the unsuppressed setting, it still lets a lot of extra gas go by, so it's a very inefficient carrier, which means that it essentially acts like a bleed off for your suppressor. So that's why this system shoots really nice, is because I have something in there that modifies the amount of gas coming back into the system, and that's the best way to get the most out of the barrel. However, again, their claims from the factory of it being optimized for suppressed shooting, it's really just not. You're going to be using heavy buffers and springs, and preferably some sort of gas restriction device. But with all that out of the way, gentlemen, let me know what you think of the Rosco K9 12.5 in collaboration with Sage Dynamics. With all that out of the way, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace off.